This video, we want to solve for the value of x. Now, to do this, we're going to rewrite this given equation as the square root of x plus, this can be splitted as, because when you have the square root of ab, this can be written as the square root of a times the square root of b. So this is going to be the square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of x plus the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of x, and this is equals to 6. Now from here, you can see that square root of x is common to all. So we're going to factor out the square root of x. And here, I'm going to have 1 plus the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3, which is equals to 6. Dividing both sides by the coefficient of square root of x. That is, I'm going to divide both sides by 1 plus the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. 1 plus the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. And from here, it can be seen that this is going to cancel out this. So here on the left side, I'm going to have the square root of x equals to 6 divided by 1 plus the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. Now, to get rid of this denominator, anytime we are having a sort as the denominator, we rationalize. And to rationalize this, that means I'm going to regard this as my a, which is 1 plus root 2, and my b as square root of 3. So one thing I'm going to do is this. Here I have the square root of x, which is equals to 6 divided by 1 plus the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. So you will multiply this by 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. So I'm just going to change this. This is going to be my first part, and this is going to be my second part. And the rule is that you're going to change this sign. So here also I have 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. This is what I've got. Now, from here, I have the square root of my x to be equals to 6 in parentheses, 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. Here, this is multiplying this twice. So it's like saying you have 1 plus the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3 squared. No. You can see this is plus, this is minus. So we have 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. Then what am I going to do from here? This is where it looks very interesting. Here, I'm going to regard this as my a. And this is going to be my b. So here I'm having a plus b. This is going to be my a, and this is going to be my b. Here I'm having a minus b. So what I'm going to do from here is that I have this rule that says a plus b multiplied by a minus b. This is the rule of difference of two squares, which is going to be a squared minus b squared. This is the general rule for difference of two squares. So here, my square root of x is going to be 6 in parentheses 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. So this is my a, which is a squared. So my a squared is going to be 1 plus the square root of 2 minus b squared, which is the square root of 3 squared. So from here, I'm going to have the square root of x, which is equals to 6, 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. If you factor out this is going to be, remember, if you have a plus b squared, this can be written as a squared plus b squared plus 2ab. Now, using the same technique, here, the square root of my x, here in the denominator, I'm going to have 1 squared plus the square root of 2 squared plus 2a and b. And here, square and square root cancel out. We have -3. So here I'm going to have the square root of my x to be equals to 6 in parentheses 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. 1 squared is 1. 2 square root of 2 squared. This is going to cancel out this. And here I have plus 2. Plus 2 times 1 times root 2, which is 2 root 2 minus 3. And if you look at this, 1 plus 2 minus 3 is going to cancel out. So from here, I'm going to have my square root of x to be equals to 6 in parentheses 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 divided by 2 root 2. Next, to get rid of these square roots, we can decide to rationalize once again. And by rationalizing once again, we can multiply both by, or you can even divide 2 here 1, 2 here 3. Yes. So we rewrite this as 3 in parentheses 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 divided by the square root of 2. So rationalizing so that we can get rid of the square root in the denominator. So here I'm going to have 3 root 2 in parentheses 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 divided by square root of 2 times square root of 2, square root of a times the square root of a. This is going to be a. So here, this is going to be 2. But we can simplify further from here. We can simplify further. So here, I have the square root of my x to be equals to 3 root 2 in parentheses 1 plus the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 divided by 2. Next is to square both. Squared is 2. Okay? Root 2 squared is 2. So from here, I'm going to have 1 plus root 2 minus root 3 squared divided by 4. And from here, 2 here, 1, 2 here, 2. I'm going to have 9, 1 plus square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 squared divided by 2. Now, I'm going to do something interesting. Recall that when you have a plus b plus c squared, this is the same thing as saying a plus b squared plus c squared plus 2ab plus 2bc plus 2ac. My b is the square root of 2 and my c is negative root 3. This is what I'm going to have. So, using this, here I'm going to have my x to be equals to 9 over 2 in parentheses. So I have my a squared, which is 1, plus my b squared, which is the square root of 2, plus my c squared, which is the square root of negative 3, plus 2ab, 2 times 1 times root 2, plus 2bc, 2 root 2 times negative root 3, plus 2ac, which is 2 times 1 times negative root 3. And here, my x is going to be 9 over 2. 1 squared is 1. Root 2 squared is 2. This is going to be negative 3. Plus 2 root 2 plus or minus, plus times minus is minus, 2 root 6 plus times minus is minus also, 2 root 3. Finally, recall 1 plus 2 is 3, minus 3 cancel out. So my x is going to be 9 if you square this negative sign, it should be positive. Yes, it should be positive. So here we have 9 over 2 into parentheses 6 plus 2 root 2 minus 2 root 6 minus 2 root 3. So from here, we have x to be equals to 9. If you look at this, 2 is common throughout, so we can factor out 2. And the parentheses, here we're going to be left with 3 plus root 2 minus root 6 minus root 3 divided by 2. And these 2 cancel out these 2. So my x is going to be 9 in parentheses 3 plus root 2 minus root 6 minus root 3. So this is the simplified version of this. And if you want it in approximate format, you can get the square root of this. But this is the simplified form in which I'm going to stop. If you have other suggestions, you can put it in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Follow for more videos.